This here is a remarkable,
Welcome to the Wedding of Distinction podcast, a program for the unique bride and groom. The Wedding of Distinction is a concept where brides and grooms want something better. Not just your average wedding. We have the tools to make that happen. Now, here's your host, Mike Fernino.
Well, hello again. This is your host, Mike Fernino, and you are listening to the Wedding of Distinction podcast. This is a program made for couples who are planning their wedding. And in my 35 years of entertaining at weddings, I can tell you that there is so much to know. It can be overwhelming for sure. And when couples start planning their wedding, they are rookies. It's not like they get married all the time. It's not like there's a school that you can go to and learn. And the art of planning a smooth wedding reception is not easy. Many couples will ask friends and even family. God forbid, many couples go online and simply read advice from others. And that's like the blind leading the blind. I've often thought that it would be really cool to write a book and to talk about all the different things that can happen at a wedding. A book that would assist couples, giving them great advice based on the experience from someone who has seen tons of weddings. Seen the mistakes made and the consequences of those mistakes, along with all the popular trends. Well, my complacency has obviously left me behind the eight ball because I've been beat out of the gate. But that's okay because I'm going to interview the author of a brand new wedding book today on the program. Stephanie Rivkin of Royal Beats DJ Service, based in my home state of Connecticut, is a professional wedding DJ, club, and karaoke DJ, along with being a professional public speaker and educator. She does it all, and now she's an author too. Her book, A Badass Wedding Guide for Couples Who Rule, was just recently released and, of course, is available on Amazon.com. We're going to talk with Stephanie now about the book, a little bit about the concept, and how it can benefit you, why you should read it. So here's my badass interview with Stephanie Rivkin today on the Wedding of Distinction podcast. Well, I'll tell you what, I've got a badass DJ on the line with me here today, but she's now an author of a wedding book. The Badass Wedding Guide for Couples Who Rule has just recently come out. The author, Stephanie Rivkin, happens to be a DJ in my home state of Connecticut. I've known her for many, many years, and she is badass. And she's very accomplished at what she does. She, not only being a wedding DJ, but also karaoke and club, and now she's a public speaker out in Vegas and touring the world and traveling to Costa Rica. So, yeah, she is badass, and she took a few minutes to come on the program today to talk about the new book. So congratulations on that, Steph, and welcome. How are you?
Hey, thank you for having me. Life is very adventurous. It's taken me all over the place, but honestly, there's a lot of ups and downs that comes with it, but that's how you learn. So that's kind of what this book is about.
And plus, I follow your escapades and your shenanigans, and you should not fly because you always get stuck on the ground all the time, missing flights or whatever, them canceling on you and stuff like that.
You know, I have come to not mind it at all because I think to myself, what if I had gotten on that plane and there was like a mechanical thing, or what if I was saved from something or something? Yeah. You just never know. So I stopped guessing and fighting it because I used to sit there and complain all day long. I mean, sometimes I'm just sharing the adventure. Sometimes in the past, because this has been going on for like 5+ years, I have been frustrated. But now I'm like, you know what? Another night in Vegas. Okay.
I could think of worse places to be. So.
Yeah.
Now, before we get into the book, Stephanie, just very quickly for the people who don't know you, just a little bit about yourself and your history, how you got started, and a little bit about Royal Beats and the DJ world that you occupy.
Sure. So I think the most important parts of my timeline are I had a hospitality degree. So I worked in front desk of the hotel. I worked in the back as a coordinator. So I've worked with a lot of details. And I didn't only work in hotels, and I also worked on river cruise boat for a while as a manager. So I was doing meetings and weddings there, planning all the details, ins and outs of being on a boat. And then I took that out into the yachting world where I learned how to really wow people with, the origami toilet paper, and you walk in and everything is sparkling and brand new. And I was trained, really scolded at points and clapped at by the Russian chef. So It is a different world out there where perfection and hospitality kind of meet, where you're bringing in customer service and you're bringing in, creativity. And the main focus is the client and the guest and really making sure the guest experience is a positive one. Back after I got off of yachts, I ended up back in hotels. And then I ended up leaving that position in 2008 with budget cuts. And I became a karaoke DJ practically full time as soon as that happened. And it all happened very organically. I had kind of just followed my heart and took a couple gigs, and that has really led to 17 years later being where I'm at now, which has allowed me to see the stuff behind the scenes at bars, allowed me to host karaoke and strip clubs, and just kind of getting my foot wet in all the different areas of being an entertainer and performer. And then trying to brain dump all of that along with being a DJ into a book. I have the experience, I have the credentials to write this book. I don't know that the way that I wrote it is going to be approachable for everybody, but I'm not sure that's something that I really want to worry about because I wrote it for a very specific niche.
Well, I mean, the title, Badass Wedding Guide would suggest that it is for a badass bride and groom, right? So you've got a niche right there, and it's gonna work for some, maybe not work for everybody. But the thing is, it's still advice. And God knows couples need advice. I mean, where do they go? If they go to their parents, they're getting remarkably antiquated advice because, what do they know about getting married today? It's very different. I mean, I got started as a DJ back in the 80s. I can tell you, boy, is it different today than it was back then. Then, if they go to their friends, they're going to get their friends' perspective. And then if they go online, God forbid the kind of information they're going to get online. So books like this are great. So let's talk about the book and a little bit about what's in it and what the reader can expect when opening it up and getting started.
So they're going to expect a wedding planning guide, which I was originally writing. But throughout this process, I had several scripts. And as you saw, the launch was a little bit of a mess. But again, you learn as you go. So originally, it was a planning guide. And I had seen all of these posts over time about, in all the wedding groups. How do I find this? How do I find that? How do you do this? And I was just like, you know what? Instead of answering all of these posts on a regular basis, what if I just stuck everything I know into a book? Because I know the planning, I know the DJ aspect, and I can give them all of that in one book. And then how to not give them too much, I had to break it into two books. So there's a companion guide that goes with this book where I dumped all of those spreadsheets and assignments and everything else. And I'm working on perfecting that. So it's really been a process. The one book became two books. And then this planning guide became a production guide, which I'm super proud of because apparently that's my specialty. Having been a performer, having put on shows, variety shows, burlesque, drag, all of that, producing the behind the stage, the emceeing, the soundtracks, hitting the cues for all the performers. It's something that has come naturally to me over all of this time. It's not planning a wedding. And I think that's what helps differentiate us now is that now they know it's not just planning a wedding. Compare it to a Broadway show where you've got a producer, you've got a choreographer, you've got a script, you've got all these moving pieces and parts. And there's not one conductor. There's one head of each, of each department, so to speak, that should be in charge. So this explains all of that to them, elevating the experience, elevating our prices, elevating who we are and what we represent on their wedding day. And because I have a really inclusive and diverse group of people or couples that hire me, this is for any gender, so to speak, because it's very not geared toward just brides and grooms, which, is going to turn some people off, but that's where my expertise lies as well. LGBTQ weddings are something people hire me for. So this isn't specifically geared toward that. I do have another planning guide coming out geared toward that, but this is super diverse. So no matter who the couple is, let's just say they want to skip all the relationship advice and get straight to the production. That's certainly an option, but I put that in for a reason. It's a little bit of like a relationship boot camp, which I did to prepare people for life after the altar, in addition to just getting married. And who am I to do that? I am somebody, and my best friend said this. She said, if you think a wedding is expensive, wait until you hire a divorce attorney, quote unquote, my friend Kath O'Reilly. So, I mean, I know there are 50 wedding guides are going to tell you which colors to pick and all of these other little small details. But this is more of like a relationship checklist. Can you have these hard conversations? Are you ready for that altar? And are you prepared for what happens if you're not ready for the altar? Because maybe you find that you can't have truthful and open, honest conversations with your partner. And that's a red flag. And, you start collecting red flags. Do you want to make it to the altar with like the most red flags in your hand? Probably not. You get the point. The idea is to protect the relationship, build a strong foundation. And you do that by teaming up to build this production together. And then your wedding day is perfect and you live happily ever after because I've guided you through all the tough stuff. The end.
that was the quick version, everybody. It sounds to me like you are not just talking about the wedding. You're talking about this time in their life where it's leading up to the wedding, all the excitement and the preparation, but also all the thought that has to go into, hey, this is the person I'm going to be spending the rest of my life with. We're going to be doing life together. So maybe it's a good idea to think about all the different parts of life that you're about to access together. And it sure sounds like the book has got some real insightful pieces. And even if it's just one piece or two pieces that might apply, it's still great to get perspective, isn't it?
I think so. I mean, I don't think that, I have checked. I've done like the whole deep dive in AI because you know me. And there are no production first wedding manuals on the market, which any of us probably could have written at any point in time to guide our couples, but it wasn't out there. So what I learned was gamifying things makes it a little bit more fun. So I added those elements to the book. So there's challenges, there's rewards, there's badges. So it kind of compels you to keep going forward through the book because you're like, all right, I'm learning this and I'm learning this and we're talking it out and we're learning each other. So like you said, it's enjoying the season of engagement. It's not rushing to the altar because, that's how these expensive mistakes happen. First of all, if you even look at the chapter on budgeting, it's pretty strong and detailed, so is the entertainment chapter. And I tried to cut down a lot of the other stuff that they can find in other books. And I will say, I can foresee a lot of men not liking me after reading this because I'm going to kind of force whoever has this book, their partner is going to kind of force them into these hard conversations. And it's about money and children and futures and alignment. And some people have had those conversations and some haven't yet. Some get swept up in being in love. And then the next thing you know, they're picking out a wedding dress and then there's no turning back. It's along the lines of saving those girls who don't know what they don't know. That's how I look at it. And who am I to do that again? Somebody who was once engaged, ignored all the red flags. I didn't quite make it to the altar, but I wish somebody had told me some things about checklists for getting married, like who your partner even is. Do your futures align? Like, can you see themselves in 5, 10, 20 years? When you've changed appearances, and can you accept that? And, there's family dynamics, there's religious and cultural marriages, so there's a lot going on behind the scenes that affect a wedding. Who's at your wedding, how your wedding actually gets executed based on who the couple hires.
Yeah.
So I've tried to make it as easy as possible for all of us.
Yeah, it sounds to me like it's got some great stuff in it, and it'll be something to get people thinking. And that's the thing, is that some people go into weddings without thinking. It's all about the emotion and the romance, which is a beautiful thing. And it makes this moment in your life something you'll never forget. But you have to also approach that moment in your life with some solid thought process. Maybe the not so glamorous part of the wedding planning process, which is just figuring it all out. And it sounds to me like this book really puts that in place. So I know it's available on Amazon, but how can you get the book, Stephanie?
We have a Kindle, we have hard copy, and a soft cover. So 3 options, all available online right now if you search by my name, Stephanie Rivkin, or the title, A Badass Wedding Guide for Couples Who Rule. I hope that you can just appreciate that my specific niche, who I'm talking to in that book, are very open-minded people, open-minded women mostly, is what I'd say, working with their partner. So when a man picks up this book, or a guy DJ picks up this book, I hope he can just, get past the tone of the book and who I'm actually speaking to, and look at this as a tool they can use with their client, whether they're guiding it with the book behind the scenes or they give the book to their client to help, not have to tell them all this stuff and the client just gets it. It is a tool, and I hope that DJs appreciate it and, not only support me by purchasing any version of it, but also just give it a chance.
And as far as getting the book, I'm going to make it even easier for the listeners of this program. If you look in the show notes, which I have, for every single episode we do here at Wedding of Distinction, I'm going to put a link right in there. And you can just go to that link, copy and paste it, and boom, you got the book ready to buy. So there you go. I look forward to reading it. I personally, I think it's a really good idea for a guy to read and get different perspectives from a woman's point of view. I think it just makes him that much more worldly, open, and it's going to certainly help all of his chances in the dating world. If he knows how to talk to women and relate to women, he's going to have a better chance, right?
Exactly. I initially had DJs in mind to use this as well as the couples. So if they don't have a background in wedding DJing and they've never done it before, this will be an excellent tool for those beginner DJs, not necessarily the seasoned ones again. So I might not be telling anybody they don't already know, anything they don't already know, but also you might learn a thing or two, like you just said, and I can appreciate that. If I taught you anything at all from it, that's a win for me.
Always getting somebody else's perspective is always important. Even if you think you know it all, you can learn a different version of it from somebody else. So, Stephanie, I want to thank you for coming on the program today. It's called A Badass Wedding Guide for Couples Who Rule. Stephanie Rivkin from Royal Beats DJ Services out of Connecticut, but she goes all over. They fly her everywhere. So, anyway.
Thank you, Mike.
Listen, thank you so much for coming on, and we'll talk soon.
This here is a remarkable,
The Wedding of Distinction podcast is a production of Music and Motion Entertainment. All rights reserved. Any unauthorized publication of this program is strictly prohibited. For the Wedding of Distinction podcast, I'm Mike Vincent. Happy wedding planning, everybody.